la la. Oh,
People like games.
What's up, folks? I'm Reggie. This is People Like
That's
Games.
fucking outstanding.
This month, we're going to talk about one of my favorite genres, the JRPG. Let's jump into it with Dragon Quest. RPGs as we know them in gaming today, shocker, originated in the West. Tabletop games, like Dungeons and Dragons, were what ended up evolving into Wizardry and Ultima, some of the earliest and most influential computer RPGs. When those games made their way over to Japan, enthusiasts like Yuji Hori ended up getting his hands on WRPGs, and they would go on to inspire his greatest work, which ultimately made him the biggest name in gaming in Japan. But you know we can't talk about JRPGs without talking about manga. Hori started his career writing for world-famous Shonen Jump. Around that time, Enix, not Square Enix just yet, was transitioning into computer programming. They held a tournament for amateur developers and advertised it in places like Shonen Jump. Hori would go on to enter with Love Match Tennis, which earned him a spot as a developer with Enix and ended up being one of their earliest releases for the Famicom. The next step to Dragon Quest came about once again from Shonen. The same editor that pushed him to enter Enix's contest introduced Hori to the already famous Akira Toriyama, who was now working on his biggest series, Dragon Ball. Toriyama had no idea what an RPG was at the time, but went along with it anyway. After seeing the final product, he's since developed almost, if not all, the characters and creatures in the series. The final piece to the puzzle was the classical TV composer, Koichi Sugiyama. A gaming enthusiast himself, Sugiyama actually approached Enix on his own because he was a fan of one of their shogi games. When they replied, pretty shocked to see who was writing them, and after confirming who it was, Sugiyama was brought in to work on the score for Dragon Quest. The core team of Hori, Toriyama, and Sugiyama created a complex but still simple game with stunning anime visuals and a soundtrack way ahead of the competition. Sales were pretty low to start. RPGs were barely known to the Western audience they were developed for, let alone the Japanese. But Hori and Toriyama's clout in Shonen allowed Hori to write articles advertising the game and instantly attach recognizable names like Toriyama and Sugiyama. Sales skyrocketed, Shonen Jump's weekly numbers jumped by 2 million, and Yuji Hori became the first household name in Japanese gaming. A lot of surrounding factors got Dragon Quest the push it needed, but it wouldn't be what it is today if the game wasn't pretty damn good. And damn good it was. Hori's philosophy behind the game was growth and the feeling of becoming the main character. He also needed to make it a lot simpler. Hori felt that computer RPGs were just too tailored to the tech savvy people like himself. And with demographics changing, with the release of the Famicom, they needed to make things much simpler to get their RPG on console. Dragon Quest releases ended up becoming a mad dash to the store to pick up the latest entry. Rumors of kids skipping school and beating up younger kids to steal their game were pretty common, and productivity would tumble on release days. So much so, in fact, that it was believed for a long time that the Japanese government had to pass a law mandating game releases on weekends or holidays. No law was ever really passed, but the series ended up releasing almost exclusively on Saturdays until Dragon Quest X. Today, Dragon Quest is one of the biggest and most influential franchises in the world. The manga style and medieval setting were just some of the ideas that still persist in almost every JRPG. Even the iconic slime is pretty much recognizable to almost any Japanese citizen. The series continues to grow, especially with the release of Dragon Quest XI and Dragon Quest Builders 2, now on Game Pass. Hori and his creative team pretty much set the blueprint for what a JRPG would be. The manga art style and story structure, the WRPG gameplay, and the occasional sprinkle of religious themes, they all came together with some pretty convenient marketing and created one of Japan's greatest games, and pretty much started one of their most iconic genres. But we'll talk about a series that's a bit more famous on this side of the world next week when we talk about the history of Final Fantasy. See you next time. Peace.